Knowledge fight. Dan and Jordan, I am sweating. KnowledgeFight.com. It's time to pray.
I have great respect for Knowledge Fight.
Knowledge Fight. I'm sick of them posing as if they're the good guys, saying we are the bad guys. Knowledge Fight.
Dan and Jordan. Knowledge Fight.
I need money.
Andy in Kansas. Andy.
Stop it. Andy in Kansas. Andy. It's time to pray. Andy in Kansas, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Alex. I'm a first-time caller. I'm a huge fan. I love your work.
Knowledge Fight.
KnowledgeFight.com. I love you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Knowledge Fight. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
We're a couple dudes like to sit around, worship at the altar of Celine, and talk a little bit about Alex Jones.
Oh, indeed we are, Dan.
Jordan.
Quick question for you.
What's up?
What's your bright spot today?
My bright spot today is actually something I've been waiting quite a while to be able to be a bright spot, and that is, as of this morning, I have sent out all of the buttons that have come into the email address that we set up for the buttons.
Nice.
I have finished sending out I think I probably made about 4,000 buttons.
Yeah.
Sent to various countries around the world and all the states of the Union. It took longer than expected. The demand was higher than I anticipated. But plugging on through it, we reached this point, and I know that there are some people who have sent in emails late, and I know that there are a couple of messages that went to the places that aren't the dedicated email address. And I'm going to try and regroup and get those last stragglers taken care of eventually, but I'm not rushing. I have completed what I set out to do.
I'm really proud of you.
Shit.
I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
Because that's the type of thing where, you could have been like, I've done 2,000. I'm not doing another 2K,
Well,
But you fucking pulled it in all the way.
And early on, you were taunting me about how I bit off more than I could chew.
Generally
and
speaking.
You were saying, oh, no, did you do that again? Oh, no, this isn't going to work. And, one of the things that really motivated me is the idea that I can sit here and press these buttons and put them in envelopes, and eventually the effort that I was putting in was going to translate to somebody being happy when they went to their mailbox.
Yeah.
And I know maybe not everybody it didn't brighten their day. Maybe it was just a thing. Like, oh, cool, I got a button.
Cool, I got
but
the
at
button.
least some people it probably brightened their day, and that means a lot.
Yeah.
Like, this podcast isn't going to last forever.
Right.
We're not going to be doing this forever, and when things end, I would much rather look back on the time that we spent and the effort that was put in, and think about stuff like that. Like, isn't that nuts that we spend all this time making these buttons just to send to people?
So great.
Instead of like, oh, I negotiated an ad.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everybody who was interested and created that demand.
Yes.
For these buttons and allowing me to be able to experience that process of giving that gift to you folks. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And
really proud
if you haven't gotten one, don't send me a message now. Wait a while, and then you can send me a message.
Buttons will open up again eventually.
Well, there will be something.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your bright spot?
My bright spot is a bright spot and a dark spot. We talked a little bit. I've had a pretty bad depressive episode for the last little bit, and all came to a head Friday. But my bright spot is my partner is so supportive and so kind and helpful, and has really helped me get through it a lot, better than I otherwise. You've been incredibly helpful as well. So I am. That's my bright spot.
It's sort of a dark spot with a bright hat.
Yeah, it's like all too often, and
it's like a dark spot with a bright fake nose and glasses and a mustache.
Right. Well, I know people appreciate being open and honest about mental illness, so it's like it's one of those things where you do your best, and then part of that is you do give people around you an opportunity, to be supportive or to choose not to be, And when somebody does choose to be supportive, it's such a good thing. Mm-hmm. And it's a good thing to give them the opportunity to do that instead of just suffering by yourself in silence.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Generally, most people aren't going to respond to vulnerability by hurting you.
Yeah. But you think they will.
You think they will.
I'm at my weakest. That's when they're going to kill me.
And I think they're not going to kill you. You'll survive whatever they do. And then you could choose not to associate with them anymore.
Right.
But yeah, that is it.
Yes.
Being around people who are, you're able to, that helps a lot.
Yeah, it's an incredibly bright spot. It really is.
That's great.
Yeah.
And onward and upward.
Exactly. To infinity and at least
somewhere
the surface.
around infinity.
The surface.
Somewhere around infinity.
Yeah.
Not beyond that, though.
Just a regular,
So, Jordan, today we have a present day episode, September 2nd, 2021, Blackjack.
Blackjack. Oh, shit. I was way off.
This depressive episode
not
is
good.
killing your,
My timing
blackjack
is off.
game.
Off.
I wanted to do this because we'd been in the past for a bit, and also a clip made the rounds.
Oh, yeah?
Of Alex. Yeah, there was a clip of him taking ivermectin on air.
No.
That went around.
He did not do that.
He did.
What fucking morons do we live in the same world as?
He was very defensive.
Does he have anything that he needs to take ivermectin for?
Well, see, we're going to learn a lot on this episode.
Oh, he's got COVID.
Well, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
He might have horse worms.
Yes, okay. That's possible.
So that made the rounds, and as is generally the case, when a clip goes around of Alex Jones, one of the things that I like to do is check in, see if it's something worth talking about, and usually it's not.
Right.
Usually it's something that's like, this doesn't add anything to our conversation.
Sure.
I think this is one of the rare instances where it's like, this is a clip that went viral, and also there's something that people are slightly missing in there that is definitely worth talking about.
Awesome.
So we're going to do that today.
Excellent.
And so much more. But before we do, let's take a little moment, Jordan, to say hello to some new wonks.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So first, Lauren, spelled Lorin, who also loves Jordan's cackle. Thank you so much. You're now Policy Wonk.
I'm a policy wonk.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you. Next, this Alex character seems sketch. Just here for the sex robots. Thank you so much. You're now Policy Wonk.
I'm a policy wonk.
Thank you.
Next, not mad at the crew in Colorado. Thank you so much. You're now Policy Wonk.
I'm a policy wonk.
That sounds like it's like Sleepless in Seattle. Not mad at the crew. Okay.
That would be a great, if I was going to get another tattoo based on the show, not mad at the crew.
Not mad at the crew would be
I'm
a good
not mad
one.
at the crew.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That should be on Alex's family crest. Next, Tyrus, I hope your recent shedding went well. Your heat rock awaits you, you goddamn glorious lizard king. Thank you so much. You're now Policy Wonk.
I'm a policy wonk.
Thank you.
Next, Alex Jones is just a far-right Alan Partridge. Thank you so much. You're now Policy Wonk.
I'm a policy wonk.
Thank you.
And we got a Technocrat in the mix.
Ooh.
So thank you so much. And hello and what up to Knox, N-O-X. Knox. You're now a Technocrat.
I'm a policy wonk.
Crikey, mate, that's fantastic. Have yourself a brew.
How's your 401k doing, bro? All right, we got to go full tilt boogie on this, Watson, all right? Let's just get down to business. We ain't making that money off that heroin. Why are you pimps so good? My neck is freakishly large. I declare info war on you.
Thank you so much, Knox.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a cool name.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that sounds like a British countryside pronunciation of Nos. So it's like a fast guy. I feel like everybody makes fun of him for the Fort Knox thing, but that dude can drive.
Or
Fast and Furious.
there was that character Knox with an X or with a K in front of it.
Yes.
K-N-O-X.
Yeah, you're right.
On the, what was that, the third season of Heroes? It was played by the guy who played Marlowe on The Wire.
Marlowe's cool.
His power was that he was able to sense fear around him, and the more fear that was around him, the stronger he got.
What?
Yeah.
That's the worst power I've ever heard
It
of.
was such a dangerous power that he was on the lowest level of like security, heightened security. They were deep underground under Primatech paper.
Sure. Okay. All right. Seems like you could just...
God, that show fell apart.
It seems like if you were like, oh, this guy feeds on fear, you could just be like, oh, if I relax, I'm pretty cool.
Well, I think that's how Mr. Bennett would approach the situation.
Okay, all right.
But the lay people don't know.
They don't know.
They're going to be afraid, and that's going to help him.
That's what's the guy. Yeah. It's a sneak attack.
He was down there with the guy who could do like sonic booms.
Well, if the Sonic Boom guy wasn't afraid of him, the Sonic Boom guy, he's got no chance against the Sonic Boom guy.
And then I think Siler broke everybody out and then stole power. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, don't worry
how it
about it.
Anyway, today. Also, a little thank you and a big thank you, both, one of each, to Antti, A-N-T-T-I, out in Finland.
All right.
In the honor of Celine, Antti donated to protect the Saima ringed seals.
Ooh.
I don't know if you know about these seals. But
No, I don't.
First of all, they're very cute.
I believe that.
Second, there's only like 400 of them left in the world.
Damn it.
And they only live in this one lake in Finland.
Jesus Christ.
So-
they only live in one lake in Finland?
Yep. So donating to help keep them going is a very nice thing, and Celine appreciates it.
Yes.
She says meow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much on behalf of Celine.
Jordan, we got this episode to go over, but first, here's not a context drop from today's show.
Oops.
That's it.
All right. Okay. I would like him to say that more.
I just wanted to introduce that into our drop catalog as like a clean drop.
Oops.
So we start here with this first clip, and it's Alex talking about some Trump news. We got some Trump stuff going on. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Trump stuff.
All right.
Before I play a clip today of President Trump coming out a few days ago and saying, Pfizer really runs the FDA and the governments of the world, and people ought to look at Pfizer and the booster shots. So he's starting to edge up towards taking on the fraud. He knows he's been set up, and he needs to do it. That will take Trump from being a figure pushed off to the side, still getting some good Republicans elected, still has incredible power, to being the populist he was meant to be. People will forgive him in a moment.
Well,
being
that's
conned by Fauci and others and lying to him about the vaccine's efficacy.
So when I first heard Alex talking about this and I was listening to this episode, I assumed that this clip he was talking about of Trump was this one from mid-August that Alex has talked about incessantly. And it was Trump calling into the Fox Business show Mornings with Maria, hosted by Maria Bartiromo. Alex, like I said, he's just banged that gong so many times since Trump and Maria talk about vaccines, and Trump speculates that the booster shot is a scam on the part of drug companies to make more money.
Great. Good work.
He said that because he's an idiot, and he doesn't care if his followers die.
Correct.
Notably absent from that clip is Trump saying that Pfizer runs the FDA or the governments of the world, which is what Alex, is talking about here. So was my first indication that maybe there was a different clip, and it does turn out to be a different clip.
Okay.
But I wanted to play a little bit of the Bartiromo clip that Alex never plays.
Okay.
And then there's something that I do still think is worth talking about.
Okay.
Nobody has talked to the FDA like I did. They don't like me very much. We have a vaccine, and it's saving millions of lives throughout the world. I think we'd have a Spanish flu situation like in 1917.
It's your fault!
We do. I believe that. And we're, maybe 100 million people, 50 million, 100 million people like that. So I'm very proud of the vaccine. I've taken the vaccine. I'm very, very proud of it.
From that clip, it sounds like Trump is super proud of the vaccine because he said it twice.
He did say super proud twice.
And his beliefs don't really match up with Alex's stupid conspiracies at all. According to Trump, in a part of a Fox News interview that Alex will censor from his audience, the vaccine is great, and without it, COVID would have killed 100 million people.
Correct.
This isn't the rhetoric of someone who's been set up. These are the words of someone who's 2 steps behind his own grift. In many respects, I think what Alex is saying there is accurately assessing the problem, but I don't think that Alex can speak frankly about what the problem is. Trump's base is past this shit now, and galvanizing around fears that Pfizer is making money off booster shots, that's not going to get anyone excited at this point. That could possibly work in the mainstream Republican types, but the movement that Trump was leading and dragging whatever mainstream Republican types there actually were along with it, they've moved on to the next stage where they're one step away from violence.
Yeah.
The escalation that's gone on...
They're not one step away from violence. They are there.
True.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yes.
The escalation that's gone on in terms of people disrupting city council meetings and school boards and the way this behavior has been cheered on and incentivized with attention on social media, that's where the grift is now. And then the extreme fringes of it are the roving gangs you see in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
These dicks yelling at school boards don't want to talk about Pfizer's profits. They want to yell about bioweapons and the spirit of humanity that won't accept tyrannical martial law or some shit.
Yeah.
In order for Trump to regain sway of the populist movement that he was the head of, and he almost inspired to overthrow the fucking government, he needs to meet them where they are. They're not going to meet him where he is. And if he insists on that, he'll be exactly what Alex is saying, a figure pushed off to the side, still getting some Republicans elected.
Yep.
The movement that followed Trump didn't follow him because they actually thought he organically held any worthwhile beliefs or had a good understanding of policy. They just recognized that he was willing to go where they already were, and then they could push things further. Mm-hmm. Trump gained fans by pretending to be the champion of whatever dumb right-wing thing they were mad about that day.
Yep.
And it really worked, from anti-SJW stuff to free speech on college campus adventures to big tech censorship to hating the media. Mm-hmm. He just went wherever they went, and it worked.
Yeah. He was king shit poster.
Yeah. And now Trump has been out of office and not useful to the hard right folks for months. He was a disappointment to them after January 6th, and he literally did nothing to get himself or any of them back on Twitter. As if that wasn't enough, he's now completely misread the room, and he's trying to encourage people to get vaccines, which is like if he'd gone up in front of his followers in early 2016 and said, when you get right down to it, feminists have some pretty valid points.
Exactly.
He doesn't get the game, and it could be his undoing if he's actually thinking about running in 2024, like some have suggested.
Yeah.
If he doesn't come out and toe the extremist line, he's not going to have an actual base. That's just not... The scam doesn't work with him being like, oh, you need to come to me. Yeah. He has nothing to offer unless he comes to them.
Yeah. This is starting to sound exactly like when Trump tried to get into football and sued the NFL for a full $1 and then lost everything. So that sounds right.
I just, I think that clip that Alex is playing, or that, it's not the right clip, but this point is really salient.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
And that
absolutely.
And I think that Alex is totally right. That Trump is not going to get his shit back.
True.
If he doesn't do what they demand.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't cave to the extremist demands.
Yeah.
He will not be their leader. They will find somebody who's as charismatic as him, probably less embarrassing,
right,
and will go along with it.
Yep. You got it.
So.
Yeah, when you make a mob, you don't wind up leading it. Mm-mm. You just become a part of it. Yep. Or they kill you. Mm-hmm. That's how mobs work.
Or you have to dance really fast.
Yeah.
Because you have to stay in, you have to keep up with the desires of the mob, the will of the mob. It's a mess.
And you have to give them everything they want, or they will toss you under their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And create reasons why they were right to do that.
Of course. Yeah.
So anyway, Alex is a busy bee. He wants to make sure that you know that he does a lot of work.
Okay.
And let me explain something to you. I stayed up till 2 in the morning last night with this stack of news and information that's right here. 2 in the morning. My wife went to bed about 9 o'clock. Children went to bed about 9 o'clock. Went to bed early last night. And I stayed up till 2 a.m., and then I got in here about an hour before the show, and I haven't even had time to go back through all of this. I tried in the last hour. I'm going to have to, during breaks and things, go back through it because it's so bombshell.
Who cares?
Right? Wow.
Who cares how often you're up till 2 in the morning? I don't give a shit.
I know. I don't know this for sure.
I'm not impressed.
I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty confident that Alex is the type of dad who is like wandered into his kid's room at 2 a.m. and been like, "Wake up! You got to watch this movie. You got to watch this movie with me," while he's absolutely shit-faced. That's totally true.
Or he's wandered into his kid's room at 2 in the morning and been like, "Wake up! You need to take ivermectin." There's a bomb coming.
Wake up. I'm peeing on your bed this time.
Yeah, or, he's up at 2 in the morning and, like, he watches a YouTube video. He's like, I've been up till 2 working.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
I did a thing
So impressed.
Yes.
So Alex talks about vaccine side effects and how there's monitoring that goes on about them. And this is really just the globalists trying to know if they've hit the target.
Sure.
This is such bullshit.
And I want to explain, when they show the number of deaths after you take a vaccine, or they show the number of hospitalizations or heart attacks or blood clots, that's like crosshairs on a rifle when the sniper pulls the trigger and then uses the optics to see if he shot you or not. Or it's like the gun camera on a F-16 recording if its Sidewinder missile hits the other aircraft. To John Hopkins, they know about the deaths, they know about the heart attacks. To them, that's a targeting computer. And so they're watching, just like a B-17 pilot would have a bomb sight on their aircraft, and then they're, releasing bombs as they go over different targets.
Give 3 more examples.
And then seeing if they hit their targets. And then radioing back to the squadron behind them, okay, we hit that target, we didn't hit that target, so go ahead and re-hit that target or don't re-hit that target. I mean, that's what they're doing. These are targeting systems. Imagine the movie Predator.
Okay. This is really stupid, and it comes entirely from Alex's imagination.
Yeah.
When Alex is talking about the reports of deaths after vaccination, he's talking about people misusing data that they take from VAERS, or the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. We've talked about VAERS a little bit in the past and how it's really difficult to take raw data from the system and reach any solid conclusions based solely on that. But I don't think we've done a good enough job of discussing exactly why that is the case. So VAERS is inherently a passive data collection system, which is to say that the FDA and CDC, who operate it in conjunction with each other, they don't make any efforts to collect data that's captured in that system. It's wholly up to individuals and healthcare professionals to report adverse events in this way. The thing that's important to understand is that the FDA and CDC don't only use VAERS data to monitor vaccine safety. It's just a thing you hear the most about because it's the easiest thing for idiots like Alex and his friends to pull numbers from, then present out of context on Facebook in hopes of making your parents suspicious about vaccines.
Sure.
The CDC has an active arm of its program to monitor the safety of vaccines, one of the largest parts of which is the Vaccine Safety Data Link. This is a collaboration between the CDC and 9 huge healthcare organizations where concerns raised by VAERS data could be explored in a construct that's more meaningful for making scientific connections between things.
Right.
And then the FDA has their own programs in place, such as the Post-Licensure Rapid Immunization Safety Monitoring System. PRISM for short. This is a monitoring program that has been used many times to investigate possible vaccine interactions and side effects once it's already been released into the market.
Okay, so you're saying that the VAERS is almost more of like a when the like anecdotal evidence, if they get enough anecdotal evidence, they're like, maybe there's something here, and so then they'll pass
have other techniques to explore
to
things.
Get like actual okay.
So when information comes out of these other more active programs, it's usually press releases where they've done in-depth reviews of possible connections between a vaccine and a condition and found no link. You'll essentially never hear someone like Alex bring these programs up, however, because their studies are much harder to misrepresent than random out-of-context VAERS data. I like this line here from a 2015 article in the journal Vaccines and how they put it. Quote, VAERS is primarily a safety signal detection and hypothesis generating system. VAERS data interpreted alone or out of context can lead to erroneous conclusions about cause and effect or the risk of adverse events after vaccination.
Right.
That's the way to look at it.
Right.
This is a hypothesis generating and safety signal detection system.
Right.
No government or organizational system is perfect, but there are layers upon layers in place of people trying to keep us safe that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
There are countless people who've made it their lives work to pore over data on things like PRISM or the Vaccine Safety Data Link, not to make sure their bomb hit the right target, but to be able to respond as quickly as possible if a public health measure has led to an unforeseen result.
Right.
And I just find that the way Alex is presenting this is really stupid.
Yeah.
He's not really looking at the picture as it exists. It's just as it exists in his imagination.
I would prefer
it does a disservice.
I would prefer if instead of staying up till 2 a.m. pretending to research things, he stayed up till 2 a.m. writing better similes.
Oh, man.
You know, like that would be nice. You know, like how Churchill, all of those quotes, he wasn't a good extemporaneous speaker, so he would write all of that stuff in advance.
We will fight them on the sea.
And then he'd go out and say it, and everybody like, holy shit, how did he say something so good? And say, he's been writing that for years.
I wish Alex would stay up till 2 in the morning working on his Churchill impression. He does it quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you should just take a writing class.
Ooh, that would
be
be a good
interesting.
idea. Yeah.
See what he could come
I
up
wonder
with.
if I could teach him how to write.
Probably not.
I wonder if I could teach him how to read.
Probably not.
Yeah, you're a good point.
So, Alex has got some news about Israel.
Israel has the most deaths and the most illnesses and they're the most vaccinated in the world of any large country. And it's heart attacks in 12-year-olds that are taking the shot. It's heart attacks in 25-year-olds, totally healthy. I mean, people are dying. People are just excruciating pain. Their hearts just swell up and bust open.
Kaboom. None of this is based on anything.
Isn't Israel like at 44% or something?
No, they're the 100th most populous country in the world, according to New York Times data, which is just reporting from Johns Hopkins data.
Sure.
Israel is sitting at an overall vaccination rate of 61%.
Okay.
Their adult vaccination rate is higher than that, but it's not the number one in the world.
Gotcha.
Here's a possibly incomplete list of countries that have higher populations than Israel and higher vaccination rates. The Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Canada, Spain, Belgium, Portugal. Currently, the United States has the highest number of average daily cases, and it's not even close. We're also way ahead on average daily deaths. Now, if you only look at the statistic of average number of daily cases per 100,000 persons, then Israel is at the top of that list, but it's not as much of a blowout as our various number one spots. Israel is going through a little bit of a bad stretch right now with the Delta variant, and their experience has shown very clearly how the vaccines are very effective, but also not a perfect solution. In late July, they began rolling out booster shots for people over 60, but the thing I see a lot of folks recommending is masks and returning to a bit more caution.
Yeah. You know, and also the thing I just saw that somebody had done an independent study of excess deaths, and so countries with let's say mad dictators like the ones that Alex likes have been underreporting their COVID numbers for a long time. That's a big issue.
There are some issues that will take a while to sort out on those fronts.
Yeah.
So most of the points Alex is trying to make about Israel's infection rate is just him playing games with stats. But the bigger point is that the specific claims he's making are just not backed up by
anything.
Yeah. So there's a bombshell that Alex has.
Okay.
All right.
What's the site on that? Is he using a B-17 bombshell or is he using a Sidewinder bombshell?
Well, it's like the movie Predator.
Okay.
I have, when we put the headline up for today's show, CDC documents that the CDC put out themselves.
Idiots.
That have been hiding in plain view where they admit heart attacks and microcarditis and all the rest of this in their own admission. So the show headline today is Absolute Global Bombshell.
That's a bad show headline.
Top FDA scientists have now come out and admitted that the COVID-19 vaccines are poisoning adults and children. Yes, there's the headline. Breaking mega bombshell.
Wait, I thought it was the CDC documents.
Yeah, he said CDC documents.
The CDC released it. He said CDC twice.
He said CDC twice.
So now the headline is a bombshell about FDA scientists admitting that the shot is killing people.
Right.
I'm confused.
Well,
this is a bombshell.
The CDC's bombshell is different from the FDA's bombshell.
I mean, it must be.
It has to be.
Right?
Which one are we concerned about?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Alex does start talking about these FDA scientists. And, man, this sounds dramatic.
Okay.
Now, remember, this is the other gigantic issue. I'm going to go over all this today. 2 days ago, the number one and number two scientist at the FDA over vaccines, the head of the vaccine program and his deputy, one's been there 35 years, one's been there 12 years. They're the head guys. They're pro-vaccine people. They said, hey, you can't have the CDC and the White House running this. You shouldn't give it to under 12. And we're against these booster shots. It's not going to work. That's going to discredit us. And they said, we don't care. And the head of the FDA, who approved OxyContin previously and fentanyl, talk about a monstrous woman. By the way, 4 children. I forgot that part. Just always gets worse. She overrode them and said, we're going to say it's an authorized shot.
If you just heard Alex's version of this story, that sounds like really high drama. A couple of higher-ups in the vaccine department tried to tell the truth to power, and then the power-mad woman in charge who wanted to give fentanyl to kids wouldn't hear it, and they overruled and said, no, we're going to pretend everything's fine.
Wow.
That sounds like a plot of a movie or something.
There's a little Game of Thrones going on there.
The woman Alex is referring to is Janet Woodcock, the acting head of the FDA.
Okay.
She was recently ruled out as Biden's nominee to be the head of the agency, so she won't be in that role very long. For what it's worth, the issue here is that there are very serious concerns about Woodcock's time as the head of the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, the wing of the FDA in charge of approving new drugs. Many have levied criticisms that she did not do enough to protect the public from the opiates that were approved during her tenure. This is awful, and she should be held accountable for the decisions that were made under her leadership, but even so, it's a pretty far cry from what Alex is claiming she did. According to Alex, she wanted to give Oxycontin and fentanyl to children.
Yeah, jam it in there.
For one thing, most brands of oxycodone are not approved for use in people under 12. Most fentanyl prescriptions are for very narrow situations, particularly breakthrough pain in cancer patients who are, quote, already receiving and who are tolerant to opioid therapy for their underlying cancer pain, and it is not indicated for use in persons under 18.
Right.
There's some very serious concerns about the FDA's handling of the opiate crisis, but when you cover that story by saying that this evil woman wanted to give fentanyl and Oxycontin to children, you're making an ass of yourself, and you guarantee that your audience will only have access to a bullshit version of the story that's useless in terms of helping resolve the actual underlying issues that the story presents. You're making their ability to deal with reality impotent.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Yeah. You got it.
Anyway, the main story Alex is talking about was this head of the FDA vaccine stuff and his deputy, right? Mm-hmm. That's what the main story was. Mm-hmm. We just got caught up in a side character who wanted to dose our kids with fentanyl.
God damn it.
Anyway, this is about Dr. Marion Gruber, the director of the Office of Vaccine Research and Review, and Dr. Philip Krauss, the deputy of said office.
All right. Well, unfortunately, if your last name is Gruber, you are from Die Hard, the end.
Well, and also... Dr. Gruber's a woman. Alex kept referring...
Yeah, because it's Hans Gruber's daughter who's come back to head the FDA.
Alex repeatedly referred to Dr. Gruber as a man.
Okay.
Anyway, secondly, Dr. Gruber announced that she was retiring after being with the FDA for 32 years and that Dr. Krauss had opted to leave as well. The exact reason for their departure hasn't been announced, but one unnamed source cited in a Politico article claimed they, quote, left over differences with FDA's top vaccine official, Peter Marks. You see, Dr. Marks is the director of the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, which is the umbrella underneath which the Office of Vaccine Research and Review exists. Alex has conveniently decided to cut Marks out of the story because he complicates things and because Alex doesn't actually know anything about what's going on. He just skimmed this Politico article and he wrote up his own fan fiction about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's way better.
Here's how you can tell what Alex is doing is a skim job. The headline of the article in Politico is, quote, Biden's top-down booster plan sparks anger at FDA. And then the subheadline is, quote, Acting FDA Commissioner Janet Woodcock sent a memo Tuesday evening to vaccine regulators reiterating her support as frustration over the process spreads within their ranks. If you all you had to go on was that blurb of information, your mind might turn it into a situation where these two bold scientists said the booster vaccines wouldn't work, and then they were shot down by this evil Dr. Woodcock who wants kids to get hooked on fentanyl.
Right.
You can see the first stages of the building blocks for Alex's narrative in that headline and subheadline, but if you actually read the article, you see that there's more texture to this story than his coverage is allowing. Mm-hmm. There is a very real possibility that the two doctors' departures does have something to do with disagreements over the vaccine booster program.
Totally.
But their concerns are nothing like what Alex is pretending they are. There are various valid criticisms that we've discussed here about how booster shots are not necessarily the best allocation of resources when dealing with a community-level issue, as we are right now.
Right.
It very well may be that it's a great strategy on an individual level, but that's not always the main variable that you're concerned with.
Right.
We're dealing with spread. We need to look at this as a community issue.
Yeah, that would only reinforce the two different vaccinated, unvaccinated Americas. Yeah.
Yeah, and take it internationally as well, other countries that are in need.
Totally.
In this Politico article, they bring up some other valid concerns, which have to do with the White House seeming to take the lead in making declarations about timeframes that have not been fully endorsed by the FDA. I can definitely see that being an issue for regulators within the FDA, and I've left jobs for less.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can definitively say exactly what the situation is, but there's some indications that there's some uniformity here.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting. This is one of the few times where if I were one of those doctors, I would be like, who the fuck are you, President Biden, to tell us when science works? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just a fucking president. Shut up.
Well, and I could also see being in the position you're in and refusing to leave during the beginning of the pandemic.
Totally.
Even if things are being mishandled and Trump is coming out and being like, hey, why don't you take this weird hydroxychloroquine? Right. Isn't that fun?
Right.
You know, because, you know, it's all hands on deck. And
exactly.
Granted, we're not out of the woods right now, but it is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And if you have a difference in the steps that are being taken moving forward, it might now be a time where you could make a decision where you're like, I have to resign.
That's a good point.
You know, so I don't know. I think there's probably a really complicated situation that these doctors are engaging with.
Yeah.
And I look forward to learning more about it.
Yeah.
But based on the information that's available now, these are the best speculations that we can make based on one anonymous source that was listed in a Politico article that Alex didn't read.
Right.
The important thing to focus on here, though, I think, is the way that the reporting Alex is doing on air. It's essentially a dramatization of what he thinks happened based on skimming a headline. That's the level of analysis that goes on Alex's show. And then once that's done, he takes that and makes stuff up about it.
And the two top scientists have gone public saying in their resignation, we are mad about the authorization. It's not a real authorization. We're mad about the boosters, and we're mad about children. We said don't do this, and they did. That's hidden in the fine print. Instead, it's like, oh, they're just mad about the booster schedule and when that was going to happen. No, that's the distraction. And everybody took the bait and just went with the booster issue. That is not as big as we've been bypassed. They shouldn't have done the emergency authorization, saying that's an authorization, and it's attacking children.
So, I mean, he's just making up with these concerns and, like, he's almost creating a fictional resignation letter that everyone's ignoring or something. It's not real.
Yeah. I remember I did check out Dr. Reiser's resignation email where he said he was mad about you.
Oh, Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think... All right, whatever, man. It's just not fair. You just can't create like primary sources like this out of
nothing.
Thin air.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's ignoring the fake thing.
You're right.
Yes, they are. Good.
Yes, it's not real.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
So I wanted to play this clip, and one of the reasons I wanted to play this was because I almost didn't play this. And I want this to live as an example of, like, this is something that I ignore.
Okay.
This is something that just rolls off my back.
Right.
It's crazy, and it is something that I'm just like, I don't have time.
They've done trials now experimentally on children, and it hurts them. It kills them. These babies are having convulsions. Babies are dying with their freakazoid liberal parents all getting off on it being on the national news. This is child sacrifice. This is Munchausen by proxy. This is sick. This is a demonic spirit, ladies and gentlemen.
Stuff like that, it goes on his show all the time, and it's just like, who cares?
Yeah. If you really believe that liberal parents are taking babies to get vaccinated
as a satanic, demonic sacrifice.
Yeah, what do you say?
But that's very extreme stuff, and it is just the kind of thing that I end up listening to, and I'm like, ho-hum, another day at the office.
Exactly, yeah.
It's wild.
A lot of people go into work all day, and they never hear about babies being murdered by all the doctors in the world.
Yeah.
They never hear about it.
I am so primed for, like, the devil to actually make me a deal, because I'm so bored by the idea of it. If the devil showed up to some random person, I'd be like, oh, no, it's the devil. For me, I'd just be like, I've heard about this so many times.
Come on, man.
Hey, devil, I'm good.
What deal do you have for me? For me? What is it?
Just bored by the devil.
I'll give you riches beyond your man. I don't have the imagination for riches. What do you want?
No. Hey, devil, you want to help me make some buttons?
No deal. Just buttons.
So yeah, I ignore stuff like that, and it's fun to just take a step back sometimes and think about, like, well, that's So that's what's on the cutting room floor.
Yep. That's normal.
So Alex decides he's going to play a clip of this guy who's giving a speech about how his son died because of the shot.
Okay.
Here's just one of the latest videos. Man's son dies of enlarged heart right after the shot, which they admit it does. And they wouldn't give it a VAERS report, though, a VAERS report. So remember, it's about 100 times what they're telling you. It's probably 1 million dead in the U.S. alone. And we've had whistleblowers come forward and expose that. And they're just getting started. Here it is.
So I have legitimately no idea how this person wouldn't be able to make a report to VAERS. Like, I was poking around prepping this episode, and I could have easily filed a fake VAERS report online in about 2 minutes.
I was going to say, they probably have a contact us button.
Yes, they don't check anything. Because that's not what the database is for.
Right.
It exists so scientists can spot trends and form new hypotheses that they can use other data sources or experiments to test. I don't believe that this guy somehow couldn't report to VAERS, and I have no idea how any whistleblower could possibly quantify how many reports aren't being made to a completely voluntary reporting system that can be accessed from any computer.
Yeah.
This all seems like some Alex Jones bullshit, man. As far as this guy and his son go, I'm not going to engage with this story any further, outside of saying that I don't believe that he wouldn't be able to report it to VAERS. Anecdotal stories and cases of deaths that can't even be proven to have been caused by the vaccine, that's not compelling evidence of anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel bad. Like, the guy, his son died.
Yeah.
Presumably. And, like...
That's awful.
It's awful.
It's awful.
And his death coming after a vaccination doesn't prove anything about the vaccination.
No. If he was in a car accident after the vaccination, they would have been like, well, the vaccine was messing with his brain, and that's why he died. You know, that it wouldn't matter whatever happened.
Probably.
He got the vaccine, and then shortly after he died, so it's exploitable, and that's all that matters to Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got this clip of this guy talking about his son dying because he got the vaccine.
Sure.
And then here's the next clip that Alex decides to cover.
All right, let's go now to a priest talking about the devil is overplaying his hand. I totally agree.
The devil's overplaying his hand.
The devil is overplaying his hand.
Yep.
Alex reported that correctly.
Yeah, it does seem like it was quoted accurately.
Yeah, so this is a really common phrasing that's used in some weird Christian circles. There's a preoccupation with convincing congregations that this time the devil has just gone too far and made everything way too obvious. This time, all the people who couldn't see the magical things you're seeing are finally going to realize that you've been right all along. For instance, here's a dumb preacher on Jim Bakker's show back in 2018.
I believe that the devil overplayed his hand in New York.
Yeah.
I believe what we're going to see happen is that this overplaying of the hand of the devil, it actually is going to secure President Trump the independent vote in 2020.
Amen. Yeah.
It's a way of reassuring people that your beliefs, though people look at you as if you're crazy for thinking the devil is manipulating your enemies.
Yeah.
You're actually right, and this proves it this time.
Yeah.
The devil overplayed his hand.
There's absolutely no way you can believe in any of what your religion stands for and also believe that the devil can overplay any hand. Mm-hmm. That's not possible. Mm-hmm. Again, your religion states that this is how it happens. And to imagine that the devil is going to make a mistake in the plan?
The devil's going to make a whoops.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. To quote the devil,
oops.
It's going to come in very handy.
That's useful. Yeah. That's very useful.
I think the overplaying the hand thing is just a way of, like, you know, appealing to people's insecurities.
Totally. We're going to win. We're going to win this time.
Yeah. The clip that Alex is playing is something that one of his employees found posted on TikTok. It was a little video posted on an account called RJ Richmond, who just seems to post clips of someone who appears to be a Catholic priest giving sermons. This is a fella named Ed Meeks. It turns out that he is actually a Catholic priest in Maryland, but I ended up digging around a bit too much, and in doing so I discovered an aspect of Catholicism that I didn't know existed. Apparently, there's an entire branch of Catholicism called the Ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter, which exists to cater to people in the United States and Canada who want to be Catholic but also want to hold on to some aspect of the Anglican Church that they're converting from. This pastor's in that camp, which I guess is okay. I just didn't know that existed. There's like a half and half version of Catholicism.
Great, cool. That means we believe in the Bible, for sure.
Anyway, the point is that Alex is reporting on a video that someone found on TikTok of a dude preaching about the devil, and this is not hard-hitting news.
No.
I don't know why this show exists.
No, the devil has overplayed his hand, Dan. See, you can hear it in this. And now, if you wanted to say the devil has overplayed his hand, I would suggest that convincing all of these Catholic priests to tell people that, don't worry about it, the devil's fine. We're going to beat him this time. That would be the devil's way of tricking you into a false sense of safety, and then that's when he comes in.
Right, but the devil's got to tell. He licks his lips. That's how you know.
So does Ed Meeks.
The devil licks his lips, and that's how you know he has two pair. So if you have trips, you're fine.
You got it. Thanks, Jesus, for those trip aces.
What's the Bible verse? Maybe you guys can pull it up. The devil goes around like a wild beast, roaring, seeing who he may devour. Because a patriot is either going to get to a place of safety or is going to take on the wolf, take on the beast. But a Satanist, a leftist, will grovel or fall down on their back in bed. So it...
This show is really good.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Good.
Hard-hitting news. He stayed up till 2 a.m. for that kind of information to drop on you. Bombshells left and right. Absolute global bombshell. Why do we spend so much time documenting his noises?
I don't know.
I love it.
I think his noises are maybe
the best part.
I mean, like, he's talked about how he was one of the world's most respected voiceover artists until he started criticizing Obama.
Oh, man.
And I don't disagree that is one of the places where he has the most talent.
That's true. That is true.
Except for the Fentanyl the Dragon character. That's just racist.
That's no good.
You know, he can do a decent Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
He can do a decent...
He would have been a great Guardian of the Galaxy.
Sure. Would have been Star-Lord.
Star-Lord would never have been the same again.
So good.
Oh.
So Alex, beyond knowing how to growl, and I guess say that patriots can beat the devil, but leftist Satanists can't.
We just love the devil.
He also knows what the globalists' plans are, and he'll tell you eventually.
Because the globalists have a plan, and I know what it is.
Is it a different
one?
We'll
talk about it next segment, but here's Trump.
And I learned things. The FDA is virtually controlled by Pfizer. Pfizer has control, not Johnson & Johnson, not Moderna, but Pfizer has control over the FDA.
Oh, that's a different clip the guys found. I think I sent it to
You were up till 2 a.m.
Trump. Oh, well, we have the other one. Go ahead and roll the other one. Here it is.
They paused. You know, Johnson & Johnson is a great company, but it doesn't do as well as Pfizer with government. The people running Pfizer have a great relationship, let me put it that way, with government. Do you notice now they're coming in with boosters and this and that?
Yes.
Pfizer, what they did.
Yeah, Pfizer runs the whole thing worldwide, ladies and gentlemen. Pfizer runs the whole globalist program. It's the key one. It's the Mac Daddy. It's the Pimp Supreme.
The Pimp Supreme.
That's something that has been a part of every plan that he said the globalists have had, right?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like it's weird that Alex is surprised by that clip of Trump saying that Pfizer basically runs the FDA, considering that's what he reported at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, and then
why is he surprised by that?
The second clip only implied that Pfizer...
Well, no, the second clip implied that they're good with government contracts.
Right.
Like that there's some closeness in terms of they do well with government.
Right, yeah.
Which, sure.
Yeah.
They have good lobbyists or something.
Yeah, exactly.
There's close relationships with... Sure, that doesn't mean they run the FDA or the governments of the world.
Right.
Whatever the fuck Alex is reporting.
Right.
This just sounds like a guy who is a little bit, like I said at the beginning, he's behind the scam.
Yeah.
He's behind the grift. He thinks that this insinuation game is going to lure the extremists to him, and instead, he is only signaling to them in a way that is going to be impotent.
Yeah.
And here's what I think will happen.
And make them angry.
Probably.
Yeah.
And give them reason to think that he's in on this thing.
Exactly. Exactly like they've said he was on and off the entire time.
Because if he's signaling to these extremist folks who have, their belief is that Pfizer is trying to kill everyone with a deadly vaccine.
Right.
And if he's signaling that he's aware that Pfizer runs the FDA and is in bed with the government and stuff, and he's not doing something about it, then he's facilitating, either by active decisions or negligence, the killing off of the people with this Pfizer vaccine.
Right. Yeah. No, the only conclusion you could draw from those types of clips is like, you were the president, you approved the vaccine, you got that going, you're in on it.
Well, even that, even that, you might be able to pretend that he's been tricked or whatever. But now, you're still Trump.
Yeah, and they can get rid of him now. They don't need Trump.
Nope.
But
you could still do a whole lot other than tease people about hey, I hear that Pfizer's real good with the government. I've learned some things.
Yeah, no kidding.
You could be a little bit more assertive. You could you could take some actions as opposed to just talk shit.
I'm always amazed at how quickly our press just is like, all right, well, you were the president, now you're not anymore, so we don't need to worry about all the stuff you did. Just like, hey, you know what, Trump, yeah, sure. It's due to you and your government that all of these people are dead, but you're not the president anymore, so we'll just have you on for a quick interview. We'll give you a soundbite.
I think it's a tough box to open because
once you start holding presidents accountable, boy, everything goes crazy.
I'm not saying we shouldn't, obviously, but it's tough. I think the media is aware of that.
Yeah.
And So this next clip, Jordan.
Yes.
I feel like this is dangerous.
This is a death cult. This is a eugenics cult. Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, they all say they want to kill you. They all say the cut is there. You will never reverse the Great Reset. The end of industrial society is here. We will cleanse the earth and end the poverty and war and hunger by 2030. Because they plan to kill the vast majority of everybody by then. They've written books. I've shown you the quotes. Do you understand how much danger you are in? You are under bioweapon attack. Synthetic bioweapon attack. And you look at the left, how pale they are and how green-skinned they are and how zombie-like they are because they have turned their spirit over to the spirit of death. Their sacrament is abortion. Their sacrament is human-animal cloning. Their sacrament is degradation of their bodies. Their sacrament is turning themselves over to just hating themselves and hating you.
So when I hear stuff like this, which is, fairly routine on Alex's show, it's really hard not to think of the lessons that were learned after the Rwandan genocide.
Yep.
And how radio demonization did play a role in turning people against their neighbors.
You betcha.
I don't think that Alex's reach is nearly what it would need to be to. But this is the kind of behavior that is in the same ballpark. It's obviously not equivalent, but it's in the same ballpark. You're taking a group of people and you're creating demon zombies out of them who exist only to be taken over by this evil force that wants to kill you and your family.
Yep.
And there's no end of this road that isn't bad.
No, I mean, if anybody compares the left to Nazis or the like, how do you get more Nazi-ish than a law that has you reporting gender traitors for a bounty? Give me any situation where that is allowed to run rampant for 2 years and it doesn't wind up with women getting murder charges and then being executed. Like, that is straight up real life 100% Nazi shit. No jokes, no fucked around, just Nazis in Texas run the government.
that whole situation is almost too bizarre even for me to feel comfortable covering it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and Alex didn't bring it up on this episode.
Oh, no, of course not.
So,
yikes.
But what he does bring up is more evils that Pfizer is bringing into the world.
And so now I've got the article, overhead shot, please. Pfizer is now developing, Infowars.com has a story posted, a twice-per-day COVID pill that must be taken alongside vaccines. And they're saying your app will show, you'll have to videotape yourself, scan with the phone, proving you've taken it. And you better not have any drug avoidance. So THX 1138 is here.
Oh, man.
I hate it when THX 1138 is here.
I regret to inform you, THX 1138 is here.
Oh, shit!
Pfizer is working on some clinical trials on an antiviral called PF07321332, which this is in addition to a trial they did in July. They're waiting on results, so we're not entirely sure how effective this drug is. The way that this drug works, in theory, is that it blocks the enzyme that the coronavirus uses to multiply. At the same time that these trials are going on, Merck is also doing trials on a drug called molnupiravir, which works by, quote, introducing errors into the RNA of the virus that eventually prevent it from replicating. This isn't surprising, nor is it a bombshell that pharmaceutical companies would be working on different approaches to solving different aspects of a gigantic global problem.
Right.
Vaccines are good and they help a lot, but what if you add vaccines to help on a community level and then you developed good antiviral medications that can be used on an individual basis and for people, who get sick or to protect people who can't get vaccinated? That would be even better.
Yeah.
Also, this really is already a thing since remdesivir exists and is an approved antiviral treatment.
Yeah.
I don't know why this... Oh, God, it's ridiculous.
It is sometimes, just like with that clip of Alex being like, they kill babies or whatever, and you're like, fuck it, Sometimes it is amazing to hear that they're just... We live in an era where they can make a pill that fucks with the RNA of a virus. What the fuck? That's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy. You
Sure.
know?
Yeah. And that's a thought that you have. And it's like, wouldn't it be a much more valuable use of time to discuss like the amazing breakthroughs of technology?
Incredible.
Wouldn't that be great? Or like when you're talking about this, like, misrepresentations of VAERS data, actually understanding the structure of active and passive monitoring of public health stuff. Like, it would bring so much more to people's lives to, actually understand that. But it's boring.
Yeah.
And you don't get a dopamine rush out of it in the same way you do, they're going to kill everybody.
Yeah, I know.
And so you're disincentivized from learning about those things.
I know, but sometimes I get an adrenaline rush from holy shit, look at that shit.
Yeah, but we're different.
Yeah, we are
We're
different.
weird.
We are weird.
So Alex is trying to paint a picture of a world where everyone has to accept all these shots and then record themselves taking 2 pills a day or else they can't leave their home, but that's complete bullshit.
Yeah, that's insane.
The trials for Pfizer's drug are being given to people with confirmed diagnoses, so the goal is to see if they can develop a drug that's effective as a treatment. Conversely, the Merck drugs testing is aimed at seeing if they can develop a preventative type of medication. This trial is going to involve people who live with someone who has a lab-confirmed symptomatic case of COVID, and the goal is to determine if the drug has an effect on whether or not people get it at all.
Right.
The horror that Alex is describing better fits the Merck pill, but all of Alex's evil nightmares are already built up around Pfizer, so I guess he's just sort of pretending this is all the same.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah,
who
cares?
Who's going to be like, oh, no, sir, Alex, it's Merck instead.
Right.
Nobody.
Well, I mean, that dopamine rush that you get from that fear and that excitement is diminished by actually reading.
Looking into it. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so people tend to not want to do that.
Yeah, you get
it takes away the good feeling and the
bored.
high.
Yeah.
So anyway, women.
What about them? Still doing? Still going?
They're accepting tyranny.
I mean, if you live in Texas, yeah, you sure are.
This clip is dumb.
Oh.
The new pill is expected to be released by the end of the year and will be required to be taken twice per day. And notice the people adopting this are women worldwide because they think the government, the media, and big tech are their friends. And so the media says men shouldn't be assertive, men shouldn't be the leader of the household. And so you see the women hopping around, ordering their husbands around who step and fetch it. But then when the app from the big tech tells them when they can go out and how much meat they can have, or if they can have a child, or allots them a trip. They're like, just, I love it, so good, and my uterus is being cut out next week. I'm bleeding out. I'm 25, but it's liberal. I took my shot. I had a heart attack. It's so liberal. And so that's how sick this is.
I'd like to retract what I was saying about Alex doing good voices.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yep.
You know, I do like the idea of being married to a man who thinks all women are weak and dumb. That's great. That sounds great.
And they're being tricked into pretending that they're equal with men.
Absolutely.
Because the media is making men be
exactly.
soft.
There's nothing better than a relationship where one person thinks you're useless and terrible.
And if you get a little bit too, confident in yourself, that's only going to lead to the globalists tricking you.
Exactly. Yeah, you cannot have confidence in yourself if you're a woman. Otherwise, you'll be taken advantage of.
Unless you're confident in your position of being subservient to men.
Exactly. As long as you've got a man telling you what to do, you will be fine. Why don't women understand that? Could it be all of human history?
I find this a little bit much. So Alex has this damning CDC document that he's brought up.
Sure.
And he hasn't really talked about what it is yet.
Right.
And maybe it's FDA something.
Well,
I'm not entirely sure. I'm very confused.
Either way, absolute global bombshell.
Based on how he's presented this so far, I've been very confused.
I'm going to open the phones up at 15 after next hour, but I'm going to hit this really big story that I've mentioned in the first two segments of the next hour. The actual CDC document from October of last year, where they list heart swelling, heart attacks, strokes, cancer, death, liquefaction of the uterus.
Sure.
Off of what their scientists were telling them would happen. Now you know why the two head virologists quit 2 days ago.
At this point, Alex doesn't actually specify what the document he's referring to is, so I was left to try and find it on my own.
Right.
I was able to find an FDA PowerPoint presentation from October 2020 that was about, quote, plans for monitoring COVID-19 vaccine safety and efficacy. This is just a breakdown of the various passive strategies like VAERS and active strategies like PRISM that the FDA and CDC would be employing to monitor how the vaccines are working. It explains another initiative, the FDA BEST system, which stands for Biologics, Effectiveness, and Safety. I guess the T is just implied in that acronym.
Yeah, just silence.
Safety.
boy, you guys got to work on that.
The BEST system works by compiling data from emergency rooms as well as insurance claims covering the policies of hundreds of millions of Americans in order to track how many adverse events are being seen and what sorts. This is a really effective, active monitoring strategy that they can use in addition to self-reportage through things like VAERS.
Right.
The presentation covers how there are multiple approaches because no one system really can capture a lot of the stuff on its own, and each has strengths and weaknesses, particularly when one of the large objectives is respecting patients' rights and privacy.
Yeah.
Anyway, page 16 of this, the 16th slide, is a draft working list of possible adverse events you might see. Mm-hmm. But Alex hasn't been specific enough yet, so this probably isn't the document he's talking about, right? I mean, like, that would be pathetic.
Yeah, that would be really sad.
It'd be really sad if he thought that this proved anything.
Really sad.
Boy, I hope we don't end up finding out that this is the document that he's talking about.
Oh, that would be terrible. There's no way that could possibly happen. 0% chance.
Yeah, but we don't know now because he doesn't get specific. Instead, we have to get to the biggest news in the world.
What's that?
So Rogan.
Yes.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He made a lot of news.
Yes.
Because he came out and said that he had COVID.
Right.
And that he took ivermectin along with literally everything else.
Yeah. He's a giant dum-dum.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So Alex needs you to know a few things. The first thing that he needs you to know is that he knew about Rogan before you did.
Well, of course he did.
He knew about that.
He gets texts all the time.
Right. And also, Rogan's not so special. Like, Mike down.
And the left all freaked out. Joe Rogan, I talked to him a couple days ago. He says, hey, don't tell anybody yet. I'm going to make the announcement. He said, man, I went to Florida, went to a show, just thought I was hungover. And, man, then I had these sweats and fever, and I sure as hell went and got tested and had COVID. But then I took ivermectin and all the rest of it, and, man, I felt a lot better the next day. 2 days later, basically totally better. And he was waiting to see what the treatment would do until he talked about it, but I talked to him after he'd already been on it for a day and was already feeling a lot better. He said, yeah, we talked about ivermectin, how great it works. And I know some people very close to me that had it again, that they said it felt like a gorilla was sitting on their chest. And as soon as they took ivermectin, within like 5 hours, they felt better. I mean, even closer to me than my parents, I know someone that had COVID. But I deprived the media of that announcement. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, of course, I had it too, and I took it and knocked it out in like a day. But it felt like a gorilla was on my chest. I woke up and was like, whoa. And I went and got tested, said I didn't have it, but that's because it's a new spike protein. See, that's another big thing. This is mutating. And so it doesn't say it's the same virus. They just call it COVID.
So I had COVID too, and I took ivermectin, and I was cured too. Now, granted, I took a test and it was negative. What?
I was going to say, I believe he did not have COVID.
I don't know.
So somehow he took a test and was okay.
Well, I think that this is just convoluted.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the reality of this is.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. Certainly his behavior would suggest somebody who's at high risk of contracting COVID.
Yeah.
His behavior has been very unsafe over the course of this entire pandemic.
Yeah.
So if he were to get it, I would not be surprised. If he were to get it, I also think that he has access to pretty good health care and would have all the things that Joe Rogan would have access to as well.
Yep.
The monoclonal antibodies and whatever kind of emergency use treatments people are trying.
Hey, if you're rich and sick, you'll probably be okay.
I think it's possible that he did have COVID. Mm-hmm. And I also think it's possible that he didn't, based on him saying that he took a test and he was negative.
Yeah.
So that's weird. But I also think that I totally believe that Alex would be jealous of Joe Rogan's attention.
100%.
And be like, not only did I know about his diagnosis before all you did, but I actually did the same thing that he did before he did it.
Yep.
And I just didn't want to tell the media. But now that I see the proof of concept that people are enjoying Rogan, I did it too.
Yep.
I did it too.
Yep. It is attention.
I don't know what the reality is. I could see it all being true, honestly.
I could see him being vaccinated too.
Yeah.
I could see it all.
Yeah.
It's all possible.
Mm-hmm. All bets are off.
Yeah, because he's not telling the truth to anyone. No. Ever. About anything.
Yeah. It's very confusing, but I do find it funny.
Yeah.
That he's getting on air and being like, all right, fuck it, I had COVID.
Yeah. He is.
The jig is up.
I have been denying everything for so long, so I lied about it. I could see that.
Now, not only did I recently have COVID, but also.
And I had COVID a year and a half ago as well. And
oh my God.
Again, it was very, very mild then. This was stronger. This was more intense this time. And that's why I looked at the statistics and the numbers, and I knew last year was way overblown.
Oh, so he had COVID a year and a half ago too. So you've got it twice now. This is interesting. Also, it seems like maybe if a year and a half ago you got sick and it was mild, and this time it was a lot more severe. It seems coincidental or interesting, or maybe not coincidental, that your coverage is last time it was fake and this time it's real.
It does seem like that's
Seems
weird.
Like whatever you're personally experiencing is being applied to the entire world.
Yeah.
Much like a gigantic narcissist might do.
Yeah, it sounds somewhat familiar.
Boy, it is exactly in the pattern of the way Alex Jones behaves.
Yeah. It's hard to look at any of those like list of signs of malignant narcissists and not be like 1 1 1 1 bingo, we got them all.
I think he even creates new symptoms too. Like he's
mutated.
Yeah.
He's the Delta variant of a narcissist.
Yeah. He's so creative with his narcissism and so enabled.
Yeah, it is. It is. It does remind you of a mutated virus, doesn't it?
Yeah. No one has seen fit to contain this. So it's narcissism. Lambda strain.
Yeah.
Omicron.
Garbage.
Oopsilon.
Show off your Greek.
Zeta. That's right. People mispronounce Zeta.
Oh, it's data?
Zeta.
Ah. I did not know that.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So
Blackjack.
Alex has enemies that make up things about him. I think he's talking about us.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
And that's why he didn't want to tell everyone that he had COVID twice.
Right.
And I got a lot of enemies that always make stuff up and add things and things, so I never got into it. And it was a while back that this even happened. And so I've explained to the crew and I've explained to everybody else, you're not going to escape it, and you're going to get sick again unless you just overload yourself with vitamins and minerals. And I'm taking ivermectin prophylactically now because you can basically take this stuff all the time, and it's anti-cancer. And I get it from a doctor.
Oh, no.
In fact, guys, will you go in my office? There's a big brown paper bag and bring it to me, please.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. This is falling off the rails now.
It's a big brown paper bag.
This is getting not good.
All right.
Okay.
I didn't tell people a year and a half ago I had COVID because I knew that dumb podcast would really shit all over me for a long time. Like, really shit all over me. Like, that screaming guy would have screamed for a long time about how fucking stupid I am.
It's really tough not to hear that way. It's really, really tough.
It kind of is.
Or even, like, just take us out of it. Like, it would have really hurt a lot of the arguments I was making back then if people had known that I had COVID.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say
the amount of dunking that would have been done
so many dunks.
would have been astonishing.
Now, the second part that I need to really, really highlight here is that he's saying that, like, he told people, like, you're not going to escape this, you're going to get it, or whatever.
Yeah.
By not disclosing that he has it and going to rallies, going to anti-mask protests, going to that grocery store in Florida where everyone didn't wear masks, all this stuff, he is essentially making a decision for the people around him to expose them to it.
Yeah.
He's making this decision that you're not going to escape it for them, and that's fucked up. That is beyond disgusting behavior. Yeah. I don't know if all of the people who work at InfoWars were aware of his diagnosis and the fact that he could have exposed them to it. But if not, I think they could probably sue him.
Totally. 100%.
I think it's an unsafe work environment that Alex consciously created.
Yeah.
And his denial of the risk doesn't actually mitigate the risk.
Nope.
So I think that this is just him admitting he's a horrible person.
Yeah. He's a nightmarish person who is possibly directly responsible for the death.
And he doesn't. It's clear that he doesn't respect other people's ability to make informed decisions. If he's lying about whether or not he has it, or lying by omission, I don't know the timeline of when he had it, but he obviously didn't quarantine himself.
Right. Well, I mean, not just that, but you think, shit, he had it. At the same time, he's telling people to go rip off people's masks from their faces.
It's true.
You know, like if
and screaming at people in stores if they ask you to wear a mask.
No, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
that's really fucked up.
Now, the only other thing I can think about is like maybe he did actually get sick at some point and quarantine himself because it takes a lot of vacations.
That's true. That is true. There have been weeks where he's gone.
Yeah. So maybe one of those was him covering.
Yeah.
What is it called? Oh, that's lying.
There we go. That's right. No, I thought Alex was right about everything.
No, he's a liar.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he gets really cocky about how he's got ivermectin now.
I hate him so much.
He's taking it prophylactically, which is totally cool. It's totally cool.
I'm taking ivermectin prophylactically now because you can basically take this stuff all the time, and it's anti-cancer. And I get it from a doctor. In fact, guys, will you go in my office? There's a big brown paper bag and bring it to me, please.
Not that one. The one with the ivermectin.
Brown paper bag. And just bring it to me. I got a whole bag of it. You want to see it? So remember, these murdering criminals don't want you to know that. All right, we can't stay on air without your support. One of our big sponsors is MyPillow.com.
Oof. Wow. This sucks.
I can't. I mean, on the other hand, I can absolutely see the doctor that's willing to take Alex Jones as a patient just being like, you want a shit ton of ivermectin?
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop you.
I get my ivermectin from a doctor. His name's Dr. Ed.
I know. Well done.
Thanks.
Are you gonna mock my Paul Reiser joke and then pull a Mr. Ed out of nowhere?
It was payback.
All right. 1-1.
Yeah.
This is a tie ball game.
I just think this is really silly that he's getting really defensive about ivermectin and then doing a pivot to a MyPillow ad.
So sad.
Also, during the MyPillow ad, I don't know if it's the copy that he has to read, but he always is like, they have amazing human beds. Because they also sell like dog beds.
Yeah. Okay, great. Great.
But just specifying human bed is always sticks out as like...
That's a weird way to describe it.
Yep. So Alex gets this bag.
You've made your human bed, now lie in it.
Yeah. He's good at lying. So Alex gets his paper bag. One of them has a 40 in it.
I was going to say, yeah, of course.
And the other one has his ivermectin.
You want to see my ivermectin? Oh, what's all this? What's going on here? Here. Let's just open it up for you. Didn't get this at a Tractor Supply because I've been like Santa Claus taking care of everybody. Hours a day for months.
What does that mean?
Taking care of people.
He's been taking ivermectin hours a day for months.
Overhead shot, please. You know what this is? This is ivermectin for humans that won a Nobel Prize as an antiviral.
Does that taking hours a day, does that mean he's doctor shopping for people?
I guess.
I have no idea what that's supposed to even mean.
It definitely means it doesn't mean that he's taking people chicken soup and shit like that. That's for sure.
And at the end there, Alex says that ivermectin won a Nobel Prize.
Did it win a Nobel Prize, Dan?
Well, in 2015, William C. Campbell, he co-won the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine for his contributions to the discovery of avermectin, from which ivermectin was derived.
Gotcha.
It didn't win the Nobel Prize as a health supplement or as an antiviral, though, which Alex is claiming. It was specifically about it being a really exciting anti-parasitic drug that had been discovered. A bunch of drugs that have been able to be made from this discovery include selamectin, which is a topical parasite killer for dogs and cats, and doramectin, which is an oral drug for cattle.
Oh, it sounds like it would be a really good thing for like deworming large. Yeah. That's what it would be really good for.
And killing bees.
Yeah.
Taking ivermectin, believing it to be a preventative or cure for COVID, is just really stupid and intensely dangerous, just for no reason.
Yeah.
The CDC has reported on data from poison control centers that shows a tripling of calls related to ivermectin in 2021, and I have to assume Alex doing this bizarre pageant where he's taking pills on air isn't going to help flatten that curve at all.
No.
I don't know. I feel like he wants people to be like somehow offended or like triggered by this.
I guess he wants people to be like, oh my God, look at how
I can't stand that he's taking pills on air.
Yeah, instead of everybody just going like, hey man, if you want to kill yourself, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is dangerous and you're being irresponsible to your audience.
Yeah.
But you've done worse.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess your whole last year and a half where you've just been sort of lying and pretending you didn't have COVID.
Yeah.
That's probably worse.
I really am starting to think he just wants a lot of people to die.
Yeah. I struggle with that myself.
I mean, it's a little bit like that impulse that some religious people have to where it's like, I will see the end times. The world will not last beyond me. And if it's not going to happen, I'm going to make it happen.
His behavior is really tough to find a coherent explanation for that doesn't involve that.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
Right. The end of the world is involved in whatever he's doing.
There's got to be something, but if you want to be lazy and just adopt a conclusion, that is one you could.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's so weird. It's so weird to just be like defensively and aggressively taking pills on air. Like, it really reminded me of that 2013 episode we listened to where he had a hamburger and he put all his supplements on
100%. Yes. Yeah. He poured super male vitality on a burger. Yeah.
I'll put some of this B12 on the burger.
Great stuff. Yeah.
It just reminds me of that. It's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be experiencing, but this is funny, I guess. This is stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alex starts yelling about how this is going to save him or something.
Sure.
So let me show you. I was going to do this anyways earlier. See this? See this, Fauci? You see this, Bill Gates? I'm going to kill those prions, you bastard murderers. You're going to hit me with a bioweapon, you monster. You want to suppress me? You want to kill me, you still? Think I'm going to roll over to your crap?
Uh-oh.
I think there was a 5-second button pressed there.
See this, Fauci? You see this, Bill Gates? I'm going to kill those prions, you bastard murderers. You're going to hit me with a bioweapon, you monster. You want to suppress me? You want to kill me, you son of a bitch? You goddamn demon? You think I'm easy to kill? Think I'm going to roll over to your crap?
Yikes. So, yeah, that was the swear that got cut out of the radio broadcast.
Yeah.
But I'm underwhelmed by the devil if the devil's plans can be counteracted with an anti-parasite medication that is all around.
We've just started playing the Magic the Gathering game. You know what it feels like to overplay your hand. And I assume Satan is going like, oh, shit, I should have tapped that mana and instead used it to create a defensive creature or something like that.
Sure, but that's a game, and Alex's, his belief system entails the devil having a thousands-year-long plan.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't consider ivermectin.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, my evil plan to put prions in everyone is counteracted by this medication.
Yep.
Seems dumb.
Yeah, I definitely think that...
Seems like the devil in his mind is really stupid.
Somebody that's been there since the birth of creation right next to God would probably not be surprised by ivermectin, but who knows?
Horse medicine.
Does that mean that God can be surprised by stuff too?
Must mean it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If the devil can be, then God has to be.
I guess. I would like to introduce this into the proceedings.
Okay.
I don't care.
Fair point.
All this is stupid.
Fair point.
Anyway, this won the Nobel Prize for humans, this ivermectin, which it did.
That's good.
I guess it kind of did. But
is there a Nobel Prize for human beds?
No, although my pillow in the running.
See our little cancer proteins like that. Nobel Prize winning for humans. Nobel Prize winning for humans. Nobel Prize winning for humans. Nobel Prize winning for humans.
Why would you care what the Nobel Prize gets?
2005?
You think they're globalists.
Nobel Prize winning for humans. Oh, Joe Rogan. He went and drank the horse paste. He's stupid. I bet he got it from Alex Jones. They're both so dumb. They're both going to be dead. Yeah, that's why Joe's worth like $300 million. Yeah, he's real stupid.
Yeah, he's rich. You can't be stupid.
Hey, if you're rich, you can't be stupid.
That makes sense.
Makes sense.
Also, no, I don't think that people who were saying that Joe Rogan's taking horse medicine were actually thinking that he was taking the horse medicine.
Right.
It's just that his listeners will. He's rich.
He can afford whatever it is he wants.
He has access to people who can get him a human pill for him.
Yeah,
whereas a lot of people who don't have means, can't see doctors, don't have insurance, any of these kind of things will be inclined to take shortcuts if they believe that there is some kind of a miracle cure.
Yep.
And the danger of the behavior of people like Alex and Joe Rogan is that people who are in that kind of a situation in their audience may think like, oh, hey, it's a good idea? I'm going to take this horse paste.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
A comic that I worked with a few times, she had a joke about her dad taking fish penicillin because he was like, same as regular penicillin. It's the same thing. Yeah. And you're like, that is not a man being stupid. That is the end of a healthcare system is what you're looking at. That's a complete failure of a man who's like, I can't just go to the doctor.
Right. So I'll just take Pisces-Cillin.
Exactly. Nicely done.
Was that her joke?
No.
I did punch up for this joke.
I don't think you did.
You got to call this. You got to call this.
I don't think you did.
Do I know this comic?
I don't know. She's a nationally touring headliner.
I'm going to call her up.
Okay.
Pisces-Cillin is worth it.
Get on it. Okay.
2-1.
I might go with 0-1 after the...
Anyway, Joe Rogan's smart. He's rich, so he's smart. He's very smart.
Right.
That's why he lives in a $60 million house on the river. You leftists taking all the shots and dying are the dumbasses. He's the one that headlines with Dave Chappelle, not you. You're stupid.
Yep.
And I sure wish you'd wake up. But you sit there calling me stupid, an independent media person that built the biggest independent media operation in the world.
Wait, how did this become about you? I thought this was about Rogan being stupid, but he's not because he's rich and he has a really nice house down by the river.
Right.
Now it's like you call me stupid. Why is the defensiveness shifted over from Rogan to you? Because this is all about you, isn't it, Alex? This is really just about you.
There you go.
That changed the whole paradigm with my badass listeners? And you sit around and laugh at us? Medical doctors gave that to me. It is incredible. It helped my family. It helped me.
You think medical doctors are part of the globalists?
Approved for humans for all sorts of viral stuff, but that murderer Fauci doesn't want you to know because he wants the planet for himself and he wants you dead. Well, guess what, Fauci? We ain't rolling over and dying so easily, you little murdering maggot. Do you think it's a bad trait of Mike Lindell that he's so optimistic, that he's so positive? No.
Presented without comment.
What a fucking spot. What a read. What a read. Do you think Mike Lindell is stupid for being so optimistic?
Do you think it's a bad trait that he is too optimistic? Boy, that doesn't sound like something Alex improvised or wrote. That sounds like something maybe Mike Lindell wrote.
He sounds familiar.
Doesn't have the InfoWars voice, as you might say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alex has taken his ivermectin on air, and
we did it.
Yeah.
The win.
I'm not saying that he shit immediately or anything, but he does play a special report for the next segment. Might have been throwing up or something. Probably
like that.
not, but it's fun to imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway, he comes back and he's got some other news.
So here's some of the giant developments that tie together. This is on Infowars.com. It's a zero-hedge story. Europe's CDC breaks with Biden administration, says no urgent need for COVID boosters. 5 European countries have now suddenly said they're ending all COVID restrictions after Sweden has the lowest numbers in the world and the lowest vaccinated and just says it's all a fraud. Now it's other European countries have joined that.
So this is just the EU CDC making the same point that we keep hitting on, that boosters are not really a higher priority than making sure the wider population has access to the primary dose of the vaccine. Their underlying statement was also that the vaccines themselves were working great and that boosters are still very appropriate for people with weakened immune systems. Alex is just willfully misrepresenting the position and pretending that the EU CDC thinks that booster shots are dangerous.
Right.
Nonsense. I'm not sure what Alex is talking about with 5 European countries ending all their COVID restrictions, but I think I might have found the article that he's misreporting. Just a couple days before this episode, the European Council announced that there were 5 countries which were going to be excluded from their list of countries that were deemed safe to accept travelers from into the EU. They are working on, quote, a gradual lifting of the temporary restrictions on non-essential travel into the EU, but some countries are seeing transmission that makes them too risky for that list. Incidentally, the list is Israel, Lebanon, Montenegro, the Republic of North Macedonia, and the United States.
There we go.
If this is the story that Alex is referring to, then the reality is actually the complete opposite of what he's depicting.
Yeah.
This isn't 5 countries giving up on COVID restrictions. It's the EU working to gradually return to normal, and as part of that process, putting heavy restrictions on people from 5 countries who are not doing a good enough job respecting those restrictions.
Yeah, he should be saying that the EU is putting new restrictions down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, there are news stories periodically that pop up about countries planning to ease restrictions. For instance, Ireland recently announced that they plan to ease restrictions in October, mostly due to the fact that they've reached 90% vaccination rate among adults.
Wow. What a good country.
Some of these stories are actually really interesting to look at. For instance, Denmark is planning to ease most of their pandemic restrictions in mid-September because they feel that the pandemic is under control thanks to high vaccination rates. Part of their easing restrictions is no longer requiring businesses to use coronavirus passports to make sure that customers had been vaccinated or had a negative test in the past 72 hours. This is relevant because part of Alex's big argument about the pandemic is that it's an attempt to bring in these vaccine passports that'll become the mark of the beast or something, and then they'll never go away. Because as we all know, you know this, once a government gains a power, that power never goes away.
Nope.
But here we have a concrete example in the form of Denmark, where they used this strategy. It appears to have worked, been effective, and now they're going to stop with the passports because the reason they were using them has gone away. Seems like a counterpoint to a whole bunch of Alex's real primary arguments.
Yeah.
Also, I suspect him bringing up Sweden is just him grasping at straws, and it was all that he could come up with was this months-old talking point that he's forgotten about the context for. It's all just completely meaningless bullshit.
Right.
It's exhausting.
I mean, it's like you hear about New Zealand, and you're just like, God, you guys are doing such a great job. Like, they had one case show up again, and they were like, lock down the country. Lock it down. We're not fucking doing this for another year.
Yep.
One is enough,
It's easier in a smaller area.
It is.
And it's easier when it's an island.
Way easier.
Per se.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. There's, I can't help but think of tweets that I've seen of, like, the government could have just paid everyone to stay home for 8 weeks or whatever. We would have found a way to fuck that up.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is America. You couldn't pay people enough to save their own lives.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is Alex is misrepresenting these stories out of the EU.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What an asshole.
So anyway, we get back to this FDA story. Not the FDA story that is the CDC document.
Right.
But it's the FDA story that is the people quitting.
Okay.
The doctors quitting.
Gotcha.
And that ties into FDA in rebellion over White House rushed booster plans. It's not about the booster. That was one issue. It was about the FDA doing whatever it wants at the leadership level instead of listening to the scientist, the head of the virology program, and saying that there is a authorization of these Frankenshots, these genetic therapies, when it was never authorized, and they've just re-extended the emergency authorization. That level of fraud makes the Theranos lady look like a choir boy. It makes Bernie Madoff look like an angel cake. I mean, folks, that's what I'm saying. The level of this attack and this fraud and the transparency of it is mind-blowing to me.
It's really hard to tell what Alex is even talking about here. And it's hard to tell because of that, whether he's lying or just trying to mislead people.
Yeah.
There is a distinction. The way that I hear this is him saying that there's a fraud going on, that the COVID vaccine got full FDA approval, when in reality it just got an extension of its emergency use authorization. This is the fraud that Drs. Gruber and Krauss were so upset by that they quit the FDA. That's how I heard that.
That works.
The only drug that people have claimed has received FDA approval is the Pfizer shot. And this is true. It did. It got full FDA approval, not just an extension of its emergency use authorization. The confusion that Alex seems to be representing is that the FDA has not given the same full approval for this shot now that it's going to be marketed as Comirnaty. I hate that name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
There are so many creative...
Comirnaty? Maybe? It looks awful.
So many creative writing majors with no work. All you got to do is hire them to name shit for you. Yeah. It's so easy.
That name is a speed bump.
Woof.
Woof. Yeah. Anyway, the FDA hasn't approved that to be used in people aged 12 to 15, nor have they fully approved a third dose being used as a booster. These two uses, as a booster and for people under 16, continue to be allowed under an emergency use authorization, but the vaccine itself is fully FDA approved.
Right.
If Alex is trying to tell his audience that the vaccine itself hasn't been approved, he's lying. If he's trying to tell them that these specific uses for the vaccine are still under review and only allowed by emergency use authorization, then he's not delivering that information very clearly, and it feels like he's trying to mislead people. Yeah. And it definitely, whatever the reality of the situation is, isn't conveyed by his coverage of it, which is his job.
Yeah.
And so he has failed in that.
I was going to go with talking to people who've been to heaven as his job, but...
Man, I missed that.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Oh, my God. I want him to talk to somebody who's been to hell.
Ooh, why don't we ever talk to anybody who's been to hell?
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. Probably because religious people don't want to hear about it.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be poring over those 2003 episodes looking for someone who's been to hell. Colonel Craig Roberts is back. He also went to hell.
Yeah, he didn't do a good enough job with his second life, so they had to give him a taste of what it was going to be if he fucked around with his third.
Yeah. So now Alex is back to talking about the CDC document that might be an FDA document.
Sure.
Oops. FDA accidentally reveals list of COVID vaccine side effects, including microcarditis, autoimmune disease, and death. And we're going to go to break. I'm going to spend the whole next segment with the actual CDC document. Oh, don't listen to evil Alex
CDC
Jones.
or FDA?
Oh, Reuters fact-checked this and said, does an FDA document say it can cause problems? Well, it said that might, not that they would, so we say it's false. What? We believe this will cause heart attacks, blood clots, and other foreign... And then it happens. And they're like, well, we fact-checked it. And they didn't say it would happen. They said it could happen. Like, hey, you inject that heroin, you might have an overdose and die. Fact check. We didn't say you'd die. We just said you might die.
I thought Alex was an expert on causal relationships and cause and effect, and
yeah,
it turns out he's not.
No, it doesn't seem like he's very
turns
good
out
at
he has
it
a
at
bad
all.
grasp on this stuff. So now that he's being more specific, I can say with certainty that the bombshell CDC documents he thinks he's going to spend the next segment covering are just the FDA PowerPoint presentation I mentioned earlier.
There we go.
This is very sad.
Yep.
It's bad work on his part,
Bummer.
and this weird defensiveness about fact-checking is a little depressing. I don't think that Alex can possibly actually believe the things that he believes.
No.
Or that he's saying.
Yeah.
The folks that have done fact checks on the claims that this presentation was actually evidence of foreknowledge of side effects generally discuss the larger picture of what the PowerPoint presentation was about. One of them includes an FDA spokesman speaking to Fact Check. Quote, no specific COVID-19 vaccine was discussed at that meeting, but rather that meeting was held to discuss in general the criteria FDA may take into account when making a decision about emergency use authorization for a COVID-19 vaccine. The list of adverse events on slide 16 is just a list of possible outcomes that the FDA could potentially monitor for when conducting safety surveillance once a vaccine was authorized. There's a big difference between the list as it exists in this presentation and a list of potential side effects that's based on studies or science. It's kind of hard for me to believe that Alex doesn't understand the distinction.
It's just really tough.
If he doesn't understand it, he has no business conveying information to the public.
Anyone.
And if he does understand the distinction, then he's willfully misrepresenting it to people and is a liar.
Yeah.
So I don't see a possibility of a third option.
No. Nope.
And it's weird. He seems to think that the FDA and CDC are the same thing.
Looky here. Overhead shot, please. This is from the CDC's website. See this?
At FDA.gov.
It's from the CDC, Food and Drug Administration, from their damn website. In October, I'm going to show you this when we come back.
That was a magician.
What is it?
It's a magician level sleight of hand there. Is this your card?
Oh, my God. I feel like I'm playing two-card Monty with somebody who doesn't know what either card is.
Is this your government agency?
Right?
Yeah. Very
wild.
Very bad.
Not good.
Not good work. Anyway, Alex gets to talking because he needs money. And he wants you to know that he was going to scale back. We remember these days.
Oh, you got to scale back.
But now he's going to launch so many podcasts.
Well, he wants to expand.
He's going to go 1 million hours a day. And I think maybe it's because he's super committed to the InfoWar. Or he started selling human beds for Michael and
There we go. Because of your support, we are still on air, and we have major plans to expand in the face of this tyranny. Because I was quite frankly going to cut back a few years ago and pull back because I think I'd already done my work. I've already done it. I've already kind of got people awake to how the New World Order works. And I was going to kind of just remove myself, maybe write a book a year. But because of the enemy attacks and their attempts to shut us down, I've committed to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm going to start 7-day-a-week podcasts, special reports, different news bureaus all over the country. Okay? And so that takes a lot of money to do that. And we'll be launching a lot of things the next few months. But attacking me only makes me get stronger. And so I need your prayers. I need your support. I need you to go to InfoWarsStore.com.
Man, how much money did Mike Lindell give him?
I mean, he said that all he has is an affiliate relationship with Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell does not give him
Earlier,
money.
he said one of our biggest sponsors is Mike Lindell on this episode.
Well, but I mean, sure.
Yeah.
He does have a monetary
Right.
relationship with him.
A confusing one.
I don't know, but I would strongly...
Man... Don't do this again, Alex. You tried to do the fucking Washington Bureau with Jerome Corsi.
How did that go?
Didn't go good.
No, I thought it ended well.
I think I don't know if that lawsuit's still active, but Corsi and Larry Klayman were suing Alex.
Yeah.
And you overpaid that dude real bad.
So much. Holy shit, did you overpay that guy?
I understand it's easy to have bureaus in other cities because all you need is an idiot with a laptop and just a blog or whatever. But
and you can get any one of those anywhere. Yeah.
I still, even that is overextending yourself at this point.
Totally.
As a friend, Alex.
And don't start a podcast.
Don't do this. Anyway, congratulations on the pillow money. Now, it's science time.
Oh, God, no.
Okay, so let's settle down now and get into science time, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, October 22nd, 2020. It's an 8-hour, 20-plus minute video that is on YouTube. You can type that in, and you'll be able to pull it up. SBER plans for monitoring COVID-19 vaccine safety and effectiveness. U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Remember, the top two scientists just left and said basically this isn't safe. And the EU just said we need to stop the shots. No more.
Wild.
Yep, there it is. An 8-hour, 50-minute video. Sorry, my brain dialed down, and it was a whole day. So there's the video. So, people always accuse me of exaggerating. It's usually the opposite. It's usually worse than I'm telling you. There's another example of that.
This is how Alex's workflow generally goes. He makes an erroneous claim, and then when he needs to muster up the evidence for it, he points to an almost 9-hour-long video, and then he gestures at it. Like, he's trying to imply that he watched it, and it's all the proof you need. It's all in there.
It seems like if you've got that and you've got a staff, they could find a clip for you to play.
A bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not the proof that he needs. This game is boring and old. Alex hasn't watched this very long, very dry meeting of the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, and he couldn't point to any specific point in it or play any clips from it that would make his argument. All he knows is that he's seen memes of this PowerPoint presentation slide that includes a list of side effects, and that posting this super long video will look more impressive to people than just saying, hey, look at this meme I found.
Yeah.
Now that Alex has his evidence in place, this long-ass video that no one in the audience is going to watch, he can use it to give credibility to other bullshit narratives that he's pushing, like that the EU is stopping vaccinations or that the FDA scientists quit because they were against the vaccines. Also, this clip includes one of my favorite ways that Alex cannot allow himself to be wrong about anything. He gets the runtime of this video wrong, which doesn't matter at all, but he can't let that stand. So he uses it as an example of a time when something was worse than he said. People accuse him of exaggerating, but most of the time things are worse. Like the time when he was half an hour off on the runtime of a video. Such a critical detail that people think, they would just attack him for exaggerating about.
I was actually about to scream at him for getting that number wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you're up till 2 a.m.
Just a dork.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway, I think one of the themes of this episode, if there is one, based on my viewing of it, is that Alex is pretty defensive about people calling ivermectin horse paste.
It seems like that.
It's horse paste. Nobel Prize as an antiviral for humans. Horse paste. Yeah, it works on horses too. Just like water is good for horses. Again, we shouldn't drink water. If horses drink water, then you drink water like horses drink? You're going to take ivermectin like horses do?
Are you going to eat hay?
I mean, man, this is weird. And by the way, if you talk to any farmer or rancher that's got horses and it's got cows, they want, if they've got a big group, if they have a small group of cows or horses, they don't have a vet do it. They do it themselves. But, I remember getting to the vet's office at 6:30 in the morning. Or it was even light, and he'd say, go over to the warehouse and get 4 boxes of the horse paste or whatever, the ivermectin. And I remember, oh, no, God, this is going to be a long day. We must be doing a lot of cows or a lot of horses. And people didn't even have worms. They knew just give it every year to your animals because they're healthier and they're better. It's an antiviral and it's an anti-cancer.
This story is not true.
It won the Nobel Prize. But again, there's such enemies of humanity trying to suppress this. They're real jerks.
Real jerks. The devil overplayed his hand like a real jerk.
Yep.
What a jerk.
They're calling this horse paste.
Yeah.
And it's a jerk move.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
What a not true story. Just real made up.
Yeah, it's a convenient piece of Alex's backstory that he worked as like at a small vet thing when he was younger.
Yeah, of course.
I don't even know if that's true or not, but he does bring it up a lot, and I guess it gives him expertise in all these animal medicines that he wants his listeners to take.
You got it. They're making fun of you for taking horse paste, but it's ivermectin, so put that horse paste in you. I even put it in horses myself, so that means it must be good for you.
Great. So good.
Man, I can't believe it, but Alex is being a real jerk.
So he hates China. You know that. We've talked about this many times.
Sure.
Alex doesn't like China. Here's some coverage of China that I think skews kind of positive for Alex.
And then, as I said, there are large quadrants of news that I have not gotten to on critical race theory and on China. Male girly behavior banned. China cracks down on sissy men. Says it's CIA propaganda to destroy the family and their country, which it is. If you want to be a sissy man, that's up to you. But they're doing it to undermine the culture.
I would really think that a free speech crusader like Alex would be super against the government of China banning effeminate men from being allowed on television.
You should legislate feminist-sounding men.
According to NPR, the rules the government put in place also would, quote, limit anyone under 18 to 3 hours per week of online games and prohibit play on school days. They're also regulating who's allowed to be promoted as a celebrity. Quote, broadcasters should avoid performers who violate public order or have lost morality.
Hey, come on now.
I understand that Alex is super transphobic and aggressively anti-LGBTQ as a whole, but his larger worldview should really require him be super against this.
I mean, if you think that a government never gives up power...
This shouldn't be the one instance where he thinks China's got it right. It should be a drastic and super aggressive attack on freedom of expression and speech in China. His beliefs mean nothing when violating them is convenient to advancing his bigotries.
Yeah.
So Alex has been teasing for quite a while that he's going to go to calls, and he does. Now, he gets a call from a guy who's a retired pharmacy type guy.
Sure.
But, you know, this whole COVID thing made him have to get back in the game.
He's got to go out for one last mission.
I will say that one thing that made me a little bit worried about him is that he talks about his wife. And his wife apparently has an IUD that he refers to as an IED.
Oh,
which would be quite different.
Yep.
She also had the irregular menstrual cycle as well, and she had been in an IED for I forget how long, you know, not even having her periods. Total Stockholm syndrome, anything.
Man, what is going on with our phone system? This happened yesterday at the end of the show, and it just happened again. Well, at least he got part of it in. We may have to go back to analog phone lines. Who knows?
Who knows? Wow, that was unfortunate. Right after he got into how his wife has an improvised explosive device.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Are they okay with that? Can far-right people be okay with IUDs?
Let's just not discuss it.
Good point.
Yeah. That's kind of the way they treat it. It's like,
let's just move on.
He said IED anyway.
Well, that's fair. We don't even know what's going on there. Maybe that's what he's doing to exploit it.
So look, the phone cut off. That's bad. So let's go to another call.
So in the past, they would do death by 1,000 cuts. Now we're in a modern siege where it's more like death by 1,000 stabs, where each stab can mean the end.
What?
This is all tying in.
Okay, there's definitely something wrong with our phone system. So, this is 2 days in a row.
Not mad at the crew.
I'm going to put the order in to have an engineering crew come in here and put 7 analog phone lines in.
Yeah, bill it to Lindell.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is fun. this show has hit a wall. Just a fucking wall.
We can't even get a phone to work.
Yeah. And so I'd been through a lot on this episode.
This has been a roller coaster.
There's been some bullshit, some interesting things to learn about. Alex very, very defensively and angrily taking ivermectin on air. Him talking about how he's had COVID multiple times.
Jealously trying to grab onto whatever Joe Rogan fame he can get from it.
Yeah. I'm like him.
Yeah. We're the same.
And now this just phone problems. And when Alex said this, there was a little bit left in the third hour, and I just said, I give up. I'm going home for the day.
I think somebody's hacked into the digital phone system. We've had stuff like this before. And
Scalar attack!
When we go to them. So we're rebooting the system and changing the passcode. We've changed the passcodes around here on a more routine basis. But people get attached to passcodes. That's okay. It's Tim Cook's gay. He runs death camps too. That's all that matters. He's liberal.
Oh my God.
I'm punching out, man. I just said, I was just like, nothing else can happen on this episode that is in any way interesting to me.
Somebody hacked my system just to occasionally cut off phones.
And somehow your people
Yeah.
not changing their passwords
Right.
has something to do with Tim Cook.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And his sexual orientation, which must be mentioned.
It's very relevant.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
Nope.
And so I bid you adieu,
Yeah.
September 2nd episode.
Fuck off.
Pretty amazing. I think the revelation that Alex has had COVID a bunch is...
So did Pachanik cure him the first time?
I don't know, man.
I gotta know. With antibiotics?
Sure.
Why aren't we using antibiotics? Why you gotta use ivermectin? Come on, go back to get the Steve Pachanik licenses.
But don't you enjoy, though, too, that Alex pulled the Pachanik kind of with that, like,
Yes.
someone closer to me than my parents
Yes.
also
Yeah,
did this,
yeah.
and that person is me.
Yeah, I know. I could not help but hear that same exact thing.
Yeah, he was trying to do that same kind of reveal.
Brutal.
Which was not. I mean, also, I think one of the things I find really interesting about this is that, like, it's kind of a big reveal in as much as, like, it's serious that he had COVID conceivably multiple times.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, I'm not surprised at all. It's not a bombshell. I assumed he'd...
Yeah. The way he's lived his life.
he'd been covering that up for a while.
Right. The way he's lived his life means, yes, he probably got COVID, and I would have assumed that he did.
Yeah.
He didn't need to tell me.
No. Yeah. But thanks for being honest. I hope one of your employees sues you.
Yeah. Another one of your employees sues you.
Anyway, Jordan, we will be back.
Oh.
But what a interesting touch back into the present day this
was. Good Monday. Yeah.
Until we return, we have a website.
We do. It's knowledgefight.com.
Yep. We also are on Twitter.
We are on Twitter.
Oops.
It's at knowledge_fight.
Yep.
At CodeEvent
Oops.
I'm Neo.
Yeah.
I'm Leo. Oh, sorry. That's not mine. I'm going to have to say, there we go.
We'll be back. Until then, I'm Neo. I'm Leo. I'm DZX Clark. I'm Daryl Rundis.
And now here comes the sex robots.
Andy in Kansas, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Alex. I'm a first-time caller. I'm a huge fan. I love your work.
I love you.